logo in there. Well, fuck it.
Right.
We're not going to get it in this time. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Joe Pometto Law Show. Let me see here. You know what? I'm just going to take it down. Let's take it down. I don't like my head behind. We can't really see it. I can't put it in the middle. That's okay.
All right.
Okay, we got one person here. This is attorney Joe Pometto, the Joe Pometto Law Show. If you want to look directly into the camera, Pat, you look right there.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a criminal defense attorney. I do some personal injury, employment law as well. A lot of the questions that I've been getting have focused on areas of law that I don't have much experience or expertise in. So we got Pat Johnson here. Me and Pat went to law school together. With Pat, why don't you tell them what kind of law you practice?
Well, I have experience in civil litigation, different types of civil litigation, med mal, products liability, construction, banking, consumer protection, those sorts of things. I also have some real estate experience. I worked at a couple of big firms before I moved up here, worked with Joe on some things.
Mm-hmm.
We had a pretty good success with the things we worked on. And, some of the issues I want to talk about, well, we'll see what the questions are, but I might be able to point some people in the right direction.
Absolutely. Pat and I also drank a lot of beer in law school. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'll tell one war story before we get into the questions. So Pat and I went to law school together the first year at Duquesne, and then Pat transferred to Washington
and Lee.
In Lee down in Virginia, and he was staying in Rochester over one summer. So you're in Hawaii. Okay, pretty cool. Anyway, I visited Pat down in Richmond. I said Rochester.
Yeah.
Richmond, Virginia, which is actually a really cool town.
Very nice. A lot of fun.
Yeah. Did they take down their Civil War statues?
I think they renamed them. The George Washington statue is called something else now. Or something.
Did they really?
I don't know.
One thing I love about Richmond, look, this is an agnostic comment. I just like statues, and it's like in different points in the town, they got these large old Civil War statues. It's just a cool feeling. I'm agnostic on the issue of those statues. Hello, Judy. Anyway, they got a nice little bar district down there in Richmond. And me and one of my other law school buddies and Pat, we were down there, and we went drinking on that little bar district. And I think we jumped a fence. We ended up in a like a basketball court. Remember?
Yes.
And somebody threw a conch shell at us, right? So we were being loud and yelling. And from this apartment building, somebody threw a conch shell down. I mean, if that would have hit me or Pat or our friend, we would have been seriously effed up.
Yeah, it was like this big. It was, a big giant shell. It probably weighed 5 pounds.
Who throws a conch shell? Like that's a souvenir. You're not gonna throw a conch shell.
Yeah, that was fun times. We got lost. It's called the Fan District. We were trying to get back to my apartment. We got lost, and we were jumping a fence, and who knows what happened. But
it was a lot of fun. Today we are drinking. So for those of you, it was the closest thing at hand at a moment of rage. You're exactly right. We're drinking Icy Light. Does anybody in the live chat know what Icy Light is? Judy, you're not allowed to answer. Anyway, this is the Pittsburgh beer. Well, there's a regular IC. I'm just wondering if anybody knows what the IC stands for. It's actually kind of ironic because Pittsburgh's the Steel City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But this is called
Iron City. Iron City, baby. They used to have Iron City Mango. They discontinued it.
I had it, yeah.
We stopped growing mangoes in Pittsburgh.
Right. Iron beer mixed with mangoes. Sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Love Civil War history. Hope there's cool heads that prevail. Go to Richmond. That's all I'll say. Again, I'm agnostic on the issue, but go to Richmond. Those statues are wild.
Yeah, they're nice.
Yeah, super cool.
There's like 6 of them, 8 of them, all in a row. I forget what the name of the street is, but they're huge. And they're like, it's like Robert E. Lee on a horse, that sort of thing.
Yeah, aren't they all on a horse? All on horses?
I think they all are.
Them, some of them. Okay, does anybody have any legal questions? Hi, I'm in Hawaii. Went to lawyer last week. Workplace. Hostile work. Original Chihuahuan. I like your name. Do you want to ask a question or call in? Okay, but Mary Beth, you got a question? You can call in if you want, or just ask it, and we'll take a shot at it. Otherwise, we'll keep talking about Richmond, Virginia. Many of these First Amendment auditors. I've been to Stone Mountain in Georgia. Wasn't the most exciting, but the hotel had a spa. Okay.
I think there was a battle. Was there a battle in Stone Mountain? Is that what was going on there? Never been there.
Well, Pat and I also hiked on the Appalachian Trail. There was a lot of Civil War history on that.
Yep. Yeah, that was an adventure too.
South Georgia here. Okay. I've been through Georgia many times. I've been to Savannah, spent some time in Savannah when I was in the Air Force. Love Savannah. I don't know if you live near there, Banjo.
Oh, Savannah's beautiful.
Pat's lived in a bunch of. You live in West Virginia?
I lived in West Virginia, Virginia, Pittsburgh, down Johnstown. How far can people go as far as cursing at cops?
That's a good question. I'm going to answer that real quick. And if you want to call in Chihuahuan, go ahead. As far as cursing at cops, there is case law out there that like a straight curse word itself at the police is First Amendment protected. But there's so much additional context that comes into play if it's perceived as a threat. If your curse word is accompanied by some sort of movement, okay, you could be subject to arrest. It could create some form of probable cause. I did research that once in a while. So, my advice would be, don't swear at the cops. But, if you do something like that, they could arrest you and then release you, and maybe your First Amendment rights are violated. But like, what are you going to do? You're going to file a lawsuit over that?
Yeah.
Like after you end up in jail? All right, we got a call. Hey, I heard my video there. You're on the Joe Pometto Law Show.
Hey, original Chihuahuan.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? I just went to the lawyer the other week. So they were saying basically, they was explaining to me like you can only, it's not like you, which is in my case where I'm with the Union Hotel.
Okay.
And I thought they were super strict. Like they told me I cannot even do the housekeeper's job. Like we wash the front. So when I started there like 3 years ago, like I got a broom and dustpan from the housekeepers, and then the bell captain, he got all mad at me and told me, he was screaming at me, like, you cannot do that. They can, if I suit the front, then they can file a claim against me and file a union thing and all that.
Okay.
Anyway, so if you see like a piece of thing on the sidewalk. You gotta call housekeeping and do it, and then. But since I've been there, it's just been a. But anyway, so then I thought it was really strict, but I don't know. So it doesn't seem like that now. But so when I talked to the lawyer, he was saying that basically it's only like race, if that kind of serious stuff that you can go through. Race, religion, and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, you cannot, like, if all the hotel guys are pricks and all that, and they do stuff, and because I was a new guy over there, so they pretty much running the show, and they can do whatever they want. They can tell you whatever they want. Basically, they make your life a living hell.
Sure,
but I'm kind of like forced to live with it. Because until I get something better, you know what I mean? I love the job. If it wasn't for those pricks.
Are you still working there?
Yeah, I'm still there, but maybe the past 2 weeks it came to a head. So I'm off the schedule for like 2 weeks right now, and then they're just pulling out a lot of shit. So that's why I've contacted the union before, but never got around and all this kind of stuff. And
here's what I'll tell you.
Actually, the shit started from when I actually started like a month when I got into it. And
the bullshit, you mean?
From there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me give you. This is probably what the lawyer told you, sir. Like employment. I've given this speech so many times, so I'm going to jump in here. But employment in the United States is what's called AtWill Employment, right? And basically what that means is when you get a job as an employee, you can quit at any time, and the employer can fire you at any time, and neither party can sue either party, okay? Now, you can sue, but only if the employer fires you or treats you differently under certain protected categories. And that's what you got into. And that's what's been specifically made illegal by federal law and most state law. So an employer cannot, retaliate against you, change the terms and conditions of your employment, or fire you based on your race, ethnicity, national origin, religion, in many states now, your gender, your sexual orientation, et cetera, et cetera. Those are called the protected categories. So it sounds to me like that lawyer talked to you about that. And if you don't if you believe you're being targeted on one of those bases, you may have a case. Now, let me drop one more thing on you. What you're describing is a common hostile environment workplace issue is basically bullying, okay, or differential treatment. The certain circuit courts have actually spoke on this issue. The judges in California is, the most progressive state in this regard, or at least one of the most progressive states. California, the judges wrote an opinion basically saying that bullying is not the basis of a lawsuit under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act or anything else. So it's unfortunate, but with at-will employment, that's the way the law looks at it. So really, an employer can bully you. They can do all kinds of crazy shit to you. Your remedy is to quit. And I'm not saying that's how it should be, but that's how it is.
Yeah. I'm kind of realizing that now. I mean,
it raises the question, though.
It's funny because, if you apply for a new job, the next employer is always asking you what they want reference from your last employer.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're going to be like a bad rep. It's like, yeah.
It raises the question, though. Are they making any racist remarks to you? Are they making any comments about,
in Hawaii? In Hawaii, usually before it was always, there's no race. That's why it's so funny. You get a lot of certain type of people that's been moving over here over the years.
Hey,
and then
Case.
they call me racist, like out of the blue, kind of for certain stuff, and it's like funny to me because there was never racist in Hawaii because we get like so many different nationalities.
Yeah.
Hawaii people, we don't. You know, it's something new.
I
So
kind of get what you're
people started
saying.
doing that. Yeah, because I started driving for like Uber and stuff, and then when the people like they disrespect your car, and then they try to eat food in your car and all this kind of stuff, and then I kick them out for certain stuff, and then they say only a certain kind of people, and then they say, oh, racist. I was like, what? Oh, that makes me mad because that's kind of disrespectful to us. You know what I mean? Because like in Hawaii, there's no racism.
Right. It's Hawaii is
Anyway,
it's one of the most diverse states in the country, if not the most diverse.
But I mean, I'll just say this, over like the past 5-6 years, I mean, like the mainland, they've been sending all their a lot of bad elements been sending to Hawaii, so it's been getting worse. But it's a lot different. So but before, Hawaii used to have the aloha spirit.
If I will, the only advice I can really give there, and I do employment law, so this is a good question for me, is and Pat was on to something. If there was a specific comment made regarding any of those protected categories, that can be the basis of a case. And even if the case is not necessarily that strong, okay, you could use that as a negotiation tactic in order to guarantee what's called a neutral reference. So that's something you may want to do. Like, let's say you're going to quit. Like, you might want to go to your boss, but if your boss is a total jagoff, that's a Pittsburgh word, but asshole, it won't matter. But sometimes you can say, look, I'm going to quit, walk away. Will you guys give me a neutral reference? They might agree to that. And then that means that any new employer that contacts them, they won't be able to say anything bad about you.
Oh, wow.
So
you said
just
that was a neutral, asking for a neutral reference?
Yeah, ask for a neutral reference. So let's say for instance, you've had it there, okay, and you go and you put your 2 weeks in. What I would do is maybe go and sit down with whoever you're going to quit to, your manager, supervisor, and say, look, I've been here for a while. It hasn't worked out. I feel that I've been treated unfairly. Regardless, I'd like to leave on good grounds. Will you guys promise me a neutral reference? And they may do that. They may even write something up. Generally, I work these out for my clients. Having someone do it on their own is trickier territory. Okay, but maybe you can call that lawyer up. You might be able to, he might be able to help you, but he'd probably want paid up front. But that's just something to bring up. If you put your 2 weeks in, just be nice about it. Be like, look, guys, I've had it. Should I?
That's really good advice. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I never heard of that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Actually, it's so bad. I was just I've left a bunch of jobs before, and for this one, I would not even leave a 2-week reference.
Okay, well, if you can't do it, you can't do it. I got you, man. I got you.
But that's really good advice, man.
Yeah, just ask, or even if you quit that day, be like, hey, I'm leaving. You guys give me a neutral reference. I don't know. I'm just... You're like, nah, it could happen.
Try to be nice when you leave. Tell them, sorry it didn't work out. Can I get a neutral reference? What you have to do.
But yeah, bro, I heard you from Marfugo.
Oh, yeah.
Marfugo, so,
yeah.
My
man Adam. Yeah. Yeah. They're good guys over there.
Bro.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for calling in.
Okay.
All right.
It was a good question. Good, very good answer. Very good answer. Covered it all.
Tay said, why aren't you wearing a tie, counsel?
Joe told me it was casual tonight. We're just drinking beers, Taze.
I didn't know if I was going to put a tie on or not.
We're just drinking beers, bud. It's casual.
In California, basically, an ex-employer can only verify work dates. That's a neutral reference. I mean, here's the thing is like an employer would be dumb to not give a neutral reference.
I do civil litigation type of stuff. So product liability, med mal, consumer protection, banking type of stuff, construction, things like that.
I had a couple callers call-ins about debt.
Yeah.
And like debt, debt collection. So if anybody got stuff like that, bounce that off Pat. I did get a call on that.
Maybe some foreclosure stuff, some real estate things, things like that. Insurance. I know a good bit about insurance. There's a lot of different areas of law. People tend to specialize. Some people know a little bit about everything.
She says, Mary Beth says, I've had HR tell me they only list would hire or will not hire. And that's actually smart and that's legal, because what can happen with employers is they can get sued for defamation if they give a false reference. So, somebody calls for a reference and the boss just wants to talk all this shit on this person.
Yeah.
Well, he may be opening himself up to liability. Now, if all the bad things that he says are truthful, he'll be protected from a defamation lawsuit. But 1, 2, 3 false things, you can Google this. These suits get filed, can lead an employer who was just trying to maybe give an honest reference, but was talking smack on somebody. They can end up getting sued for it. But saying hire or will not rehire, that's basically that's an opinion. That's not a falsehood. So they could say that safely to a potential other employer.
That's good to know.
Yeah, it's how bad employees go from place to place. Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. It can get tough once you get once you have a reputation out there.
On the flip side of that, though, I mean, there's people that have these non-compete agreements. They're good employees, and they can't change jobs because of the non-compete agreement. So employees can get hurt in a couple of different ways.
What is happening to our country? Does anybody care?
No.
Sonny, yeah, I feel you. I try not to get too political. On my last show, my man Mass One was calling in asking about conspiracy theories. I was like, I can't do that on the show. You want to send me emails? We can chat about that stuff.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah. You know anything about VA loans? I have a VA loan, Taze. If you got a question, I actually have one, man. This house where we're shooting this right now, VA home loan. How often do you do the show? Every Wednesday, 8 o'clock. So get your legal questions and come on in. That is how pretty much you know anything about VA.
I mean, how does that work? The Veteran Administration guarantees the loan for the bank.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Exactly.
You got to be a veteran.
You bet. Yeah.
You try to get one. You're not actually a veteran. You try to get one. You're probably, it's probably fraud. So,
is there a minimum credit score? Yeah. Taze, they run you through the same stuff that any other mortgage would, but they're usually going to be a little looser on the credit score than even an FA. VA's down here, then you got FHA, and then you're going to have your conventional loan. Yeah, 640 is probably accurate. They're more flexible than most other lenders. Because the VA administration guarantees the loan, you don't have to get PMI insurance. They insure the loan. So most conventional and FHA loans are going to have private mortgage insurance, which is an extra payment for years and years until you get a certain amount of equity. So VA is nice.
Yeah.
No money down either.
Basically, the bank doesn't have to really worry if you default.
Exactly. Taze was jet mechanic in the Navy. I worked on F-15s in the Air Force.
Joe was in Japan. Joe's got babies in Japan. I saw them. They look just like him.
Best. The EA6, we had those in Okinawa, man. We had those in Okinawa. Yeah, Bonsai's right. Because Kadena actually, there's I don't know if you know Okinawa. One thing that hurts my score is medical bills. My 4 step brothers are AWACS Marines. No shit. I was up on AWAC. I actually I did a stint as security forces, and I was guarding the AWACS, which basically meant I sat in front of the AWACS with an M16 and watched movies on my laptop. You been to Kadena? No shit. Cool. Pat, I got babies in Japan. Pat got babies in West Virginia somewhere.
They're brewing all my whiskey up in the mountains for me. I got them working up there.
You're making moonshine.
I'm making moonshine. Yep. I got a clan of babies up in West Virginia making moonshine.
Pat, maybe you can answer this. Jeff Bain.
Homeless friend wants to stay at my place for 2 months. They are willing to help with utilities. My concern is they will claim tenancy. Is this a realistic concern? Can I kick them out at any time? Do you live there? So it's you and the homeless friend just wants to move in? Claim some kind of tenancy. What state are you in, Jeff? It's going to depend on what state he's in. Jeff, what state are you in, buddy?
Just tell him that.
Jeff, it's going to depend on what state you're in, really. I'm sure that every state has some type of law as it relates to tenancy. There's tenancy at will, which you probably have to give 30 days notice to evict them.
Yeah.
There's a tenancy for a term, which would be months or years. If you don't actually have a lease, it's probably some type of tenancy at will. But the state probably has some kind of law where you have to give notice, and then he can just sit there and you have to go to court. You have to get a judgment ejecting him or evicting him. If he doesn't leave, probably the sheriff would come out. Legally, it is a concern that you would have to go through those legal procedures. But at the same time, if you know the guy well, if you have a good relationship with him, I don't really think you have to think about the legal issues. Just depends on the person.
I think, like in Pennsylvania, they would gain some sort of rights.
Yeah.
You'd have to give them 30 days notice to evict them. But then again, like Pat was saying, if they didn't leave willingly, you got to go through the eviction process. So yeah, letting that person stay there. I don't know if there is I honestly don't know, Pat, if there's a certain period of time once they're there. This guy said, in 30 days in California. I'm in Colorado. Spread the word about your show. I'd love to see your channel grow, dudes. Thanks, man. In California, your friend is a tenant after 30 days.
Yeah.
I don't think PA has a hard and fast rule like that.
I don't think so either.
But if he's there for 6 months to a year, I guarantee they're going to make you do the eviction.
Yeah. I don't think you can do self-help. Self-help would be throwing his stuff out and locking the door, changing the locks. If he shows up on the property, you call the police, you say, look, I kicked this guy out. He's trespassing. Then you get into a real dispute of, is he a tenant? And then he could sue you for wrongful eviction. So you got to be careful about some of that. I don't know the answer.
Yeah, you'd have to talk to a Colorado attorney, because some states may be very specific on that, and some of them may be more general. But I do know, I guarantee every state, if he's there months and months and months, he is going to gain, you're correct, some sort of squatter's rights. And that's mostly because you gave him consent to stay there in the beginning. It'd be different if an individual is in an abandoned house and they were never given consent to go in there, right? Then they are trespassing. The police could come and remove them.
Yeah.
Now, if this guy's here under your consent, if you called the police, they're not going to do shit. I guarantee it. They are not. Maybe if it was like, I let him stay one night and I was telling him to get out, they might help you. If the police hear that you were there, they were there for 2 months, they'd be like, go file in civil court.
Yeah. And even if you had him sign an agreement saying he'd leave in 7 days and you don't have to go through a procedure, that might not even be binding. So yeah, there's some risk. There's some risk there. So, but Joe, I agree with everything Joe said.
Definitely risk. Definitely a degree of risk. We also got some potato chips here. I think this is a local company. Pat Utz.
I think it is. I think they're out in Central PA. I think
Utz.
Hanover.
Okay, they got the Pittsburgh Pirates, the best team in baseball. Just kidding. Worst team in baseball. Okay, let me get this one. Yeah, we're in PA. Pittsburgh, PA.
As soon as you start evictions, you will up your hop. That's right. I had a case. Taze, I had a case. It was a construction case where the guy who built the house was so dissatisfied with the house that he actually started tearing it apart. And, he did tens and tens of thousands of dollars of damage to the house. So people do stuff like that.
People are nuts.
There's Jerry Villa TV.
Let me grab this one. Aaron Thibodeau, Louisiana, for a probation violation. What's the longest you can be held without bail? That's a French name, isn't it? Thibodeau. That's French. Louisiana.
Cajun.
I like it.
I do too.
Here's it. So you can be held here. I'll give you the rundown of the law in Pennsylvania on probation violations, and it's probably similar in other states. If you violate probation, you're going to have what's called in PA, it's called a detainer lodged against you, meaning the court can hold you indefinitely, all right, until that probation violation is resolved. Now, in PA, it's either 48 or 72 hours. They have to give you a probable cause hearing on that detention. So you violate probation, they bring you into jail, you're going to see a judge or maybe like a hearing officer within 2 to 3 days. And then the judge is going to decide, well, is it a new charge? Did this person get charged with a gun, with a murder, with selling drugs? Or are we talking, they had a hot pee test or something stupid. They didn't go and see their probation officer when they were supposed to, right? So if you picked up new cases, you will likely be held until that case is resolved. If it's what's called a technical violation, which is not a new case, but something like I said, hot pee, didn't comply with the terms and conditions of your probation, you may just be held for 72 hours and then they will release you. However, I've seen people held on probation detainers for long periods of time. It's basically at the discretion of the judge. Aaron, if you give me some more facts, like what the violation is, I might be able to give you a little more information. Flunked a whiz quiz. I like that.
If anybody has any bankruptcy questions, I could probably answer that too. I just mentioned, I watch all of Joe's shows because I don't know much about the criminal law. All that I know, I actually learned from Joe. But every time I watch his show, I learn something too. So, tell your friends about this show. You'll learn something. And he's got good guests on too.
If you have specific questions, my email is in the description of all my videos. Send me an email. Because like I said before, I got questions about debt. I had consumer protection questions. We're not getting any tonight. But I can forward those to Pat, and he'd be willing to help you out.
Sure, absolutely.
What's this one up here? Recently applied for a card, Stanton Optical. I didn't get approved. I got a letter from a credit score or something, and my score was 520 due to unpaid bills.
But did he say anything else? I was told elsewhere I didn't have no credit. Jerry Villa, I mean, what do you mean you were told you had elsewhere that you didn't have any credit? Maybe they meant that they also meant that you had a very low credit score. And unpaid bills would give you a lower credit score. That's the purpose of the credit scores, so that they can gauge your ability to repay a credit card or a loan. Unpaid bills are going to show up there. It's going to lower your score.
Let me see. He was on probation for heroin charge possession. So I'll tell you, Aaron, that's like sort of in between what I was talking. Here's what I've seen done. Individual is, let's say he's on probation for a prior drug possession charge, picks up a new drug possession charge. They put him in jail on a detainer. One of the things your attorney could argue, or his public defender, is release him to rehab or an inpatient facility. Go and tell the judge, look, judge, this is clearly a drug addiction issue. Let's get him help instead of just keeping him incarcerated. I've used that argument many times. The judges around here, they're willing to do it. Now, it depends on his prior record, how much trouble he's given probation. But that may be something that could get him out while he's awaiting resolution of his case. Sometimes the judges are just fed up with people, though, and they want to make them sit.
Just two other questions. Taze, credit score on 2 agency, but the third has nothing on me. Taze, I don't know if they cross-check their scores. So, they might not align. And, I actually did work. I used to work for the banks. And if there's discrepancies in your credit score, there's actually the Fair Credit Reporting Act. This is something I can talk about. It's actually been a while since I had a case, but the Fair Credit Reporting Act gives you a statutory right to demand a correction to your credit score, and to the entries on your with the bureaus. And if they don't correct it, you get a statutory penalty of something like, it's either $1,000 or $4,500, or actual damages, plus attorney's fees. So this is actually an area of law that a lot of lawyers practice in, is the Fair Credit Reporting Act, because you can sue the credit bureaus and possibly sue the debt, the lender too, depending on if they're giving false information.
And that's a federal law, right, Pat?
Yes.
So anywhere in the country.
That's a federal law. You can file the case depending, you can file it in state court or federal court. Bankruptcy lawyers are familiar with it. Consumer protection lawyers are familiar with it. It's really a good way to go after the banks. And as somebody who used to represent banks, I can tell you that, you might be able to get something out of that. And a lot of lawyers will take those cases because they're fairly easy. It's right. All you have is a credit report. I mean, it's not like, it's not a super complicated thing. So I hope that helps Taze a little bit.
And Pat, right, with those types of laws where they can get attorney's fees, that incentivizes a lawyer, right?
Absolutely, because an attorney who's going to do a case on attorney's fees, and what's interesting about a lot of these cases is you can know that you have a winning case within minutes of looking at the documents. So you'll take the case, you won't require any fee from the client, the defendant's going to pay your fee, and you can get your attorney's fees. So sometimes the attorney's fees can be, a couple $1,000s. The other time that an FCRA would come into play is if a lender is suing you. for debt collection. If you have a good attorney, they're going to look at your credit report and they're going to try to find something wrong with it so that they can assert a counterclaim under the FCRA. They can remove the case to federal court. They can really play games with the lender. And a lot of times the lender will write off the debt. They'll fix the credit report. You end up paying nothing. So the FCRA is a powerful tool for borrowers against lenders. There's no question about it. So I hope that helps. Think that helped him, Joe?
Absolutely. When there's attorney's fees in a statute, that gives a lawyer incentive to take a case they wouldn't otherwise take. What? Money gives a lawyer incentive? Who knew? Actually, Taze, I represent everybody for free except for auditors. Except for auditors and sovereign citizens. I charge them.
Hey, speaking of sovereign citizens, I actually litigated against some of those guys.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
tell them,
and that's
yeah.
why when Joe started doing the videos and he was telling me, Pat, the sovereign citizens, I said, dude, I litigated against some of them.
What was it like? What was going on?
They would put together these court papers that read like they were out of 17th century England, with some kind of mix of references to the Moorish treaties and their social security numbers and the Uniform Commercial Code and all these sorts of things. And that's what really, when I saw Joe talking about that, I said, wow, he's onto something. You got to, I have a soft heart survivor. No, there's more of them than you think. And a lot of them show up in mortgages and debts. Quiet title. They're always trying to quiet title when they have no right to quiet title. They have no idea what they're talking about. It's all baloney.
Fake law, pseudo law.
Yeah.
Pseudo law, making up their own law, basically.
It's fake law.
I never had to litigate against them, but I'd see them in court. Because I'm a criminal defense attorney. I'm on the same side of them as them. They're usually going against the government or the banks.
Yeah. The Moors infuriate me.
Let me talk to Aaron real quick here. Aaron, he was locked up almost a month, goes to court, judge says no bond for you. I'd be tired of seeing him. He says he has a chance in 2 more months for a bond. He had a probation warrant also. Yeah, it sounds like they're just fed up and they want to make him sit. So they can do that. He'll get credit for this time. But again, it sucks to be sitting in jail for a possession case, but because most people wouldn't, even on a first possession. But he's obviously not a first-time customer. No. So that doesn't help. I spat coffee when a Moore told the judge what the term legalese meant.
Before wanted to sue Uber for the manipulation of BS. Lear said, no, original Chihuahuan. He wanted to sue Uber, Joe.
There's lawyers out there doing it.
Yeah. I think there's probably issues with the drivers. And then I'm also aware of actually when you get killed by an Uber or you get hit by an Uber, you get kidnapped by an Uber driver that turns out to be a mass murderer or psycho. Who do you sue? You can sue, there's an issue. You can try to sue the driver. You can try to sue Uber too. Uber's going to say they're not responsible for the driver. And I think that there's also an insurance issue about which insurance company is responsible, the drivers or Uber's. So there's actually lawyers that specialize in suing Uber and Lyft.
Really?
Yes, there are. Because they know how it works.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot of money. They love to sue them. That's all I know about that.
I own some stock in Uber. Yeah.
Don't sue Uber, guys.
You can. It's like $50. You can sue them. Some put them out of business.
Did you buy that on that app? Did you use Robinhood? It's that app. You can get it on your phone. It's real easy to invest.
No, I have ally.com.
Okay.
Me and my dad have a joint stock account.
You got to check out Robinhood. It's Robinhood. Yeah. And then you get people to sign up, and they'll give you a couple bucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You can even buy cryptocurrency on there. Hey, if anybody has any cryptocurrency questions, I can talk about that too.
Yeah, Pat's into crypto.
Just
Yeah.
throwing that out there.
I don't know shit about it, but Pat will talk to you about it.
Aaron needs a lawyer. Oh, that's Joe typing.
I told her. I said he needs a lawyer for the guy who's in for heroin possession. Yeah, I'd be like, if I was his attorney, I'd be saying to the judge, I'd be like, look, put him in rehab. Like, you're putting him in jail. It's like he's just going to be clean and then itching to get out and get high. Like, put him in rehab.
Think this over. I'm going to call someone to send a stranger to pick my drunk butt up from a club. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, drivers, technically private contractors. That's correct. Uber and Lyft manipulate and control fully. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would a local rehab help him with his legal issues? No, but here's an interesting quirk. At least in Pennsylvania, if a judge orders you to an inpatient facility, that can be counted as jail time. It's counted as incarceration. So in Pennsylvania, incarceration can be a variety of things. It can be that you're sitting in jail. It can be that you're sitting in a prison. Or it can be that you're on house arrest. It could be that you're in a controlled inpatient facility or a controlled halfway house. So that's why it's helpful to get these people in, like, they can be in a rehab and that time will count. So when the judge goes and says, oh, I want to give him a 6-month sentence, you can say he's been in rehab for 3 months. That will count. Did you want to answer a question?
No, I just want to respond to Trewyan. If you think you can't sue Uber, you still want to try, okay? Because you want to make the argument that they control, because they've got the money, not the driver. I'm sure they have more insurance coverage too. So
yeah,
just responding to Trewyan.
They may pay out on a case even if it's not that great. Like, they may offer something. My stepbrother, can police sell you drugs? Yes. Yeah, as their role as police officers running undercover investigations, absolutely they can. Now, there is a line that can be crossed where it's entrapment, but let me tell you, that's extremely rare. I mean, you've all seen these movies where cops go deep undercover. That is all legal. That's all legal. Yeah, they can do some shit.
Yeah. No, you can't plant drugs on people.
I think one of my dealers is undercover. He might be, man.
Could be.
Or he could be a plant
informant.
Right.
I was watching a news article, and there was a cop that was planting meth on all these people in Florida.
Yeah.
And they got him.
Well, that's not legal.
Yeah.
But as part of an investigation where the substances are marked or the money is marked, they can do most of these things. Yeah. The judge said no bond because you got caught with heroin. If you're an addict, you can go to ER and ask to go to psych. This might help someone prove they are in need of assistance and not incarceration.
Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, that's what in Allegheny County, there's an organization, whatever state and county you're in, you might want to look into this. Yeah. It's called Judicial Related Services. They'll give an evaluation of the individual. They'll find out his history and they'll make a recommendation to the judge.
Oh, wow. What if you can't pay?
If you can do it as a public defender. I mean, anybody's going to get that service. You can do it if you're indigent. I think one of my dealers is undercover. Very, very possible. You better listen to your gut. The judge has told people before that I'm not giving you bail because I'm sick of seeing you. Yeah, it happens all the time. Can police officers sit parked on the side of the road? Yes, with no lights on doing speed radar. Yeah, absolutely. They don't have to alert you to the fact that they're radaring you.
Yeah, you're on a public road.
Now they do that because they want to be a deterrent. That's why they sit there.
Yeah.
When you see them, that's because they want you to see them. Okay. And yeah, they might still be radaring people. And then when they pull you over, they can be like, you didn't, I've had officers say this to me as the attorney for my clients. They go, he saw me and he didn't slow down. And then I followed him and he kept going faster.
What a jerk.
So, yeah, that helps them feel justified because honestly, a lot of them, they don't want to just give tickets out if someone's just a lover, but the guy didn't see me. He didn't slow down. I followed him. He was still speeding. I did what I did. I've had that happen.
And Little D had a question. Jeff Bain wants it answered. I saw it. The question was, if you have a will, she's the beneficiary. Do her stepbrothers need to be notified? You have to, I'm sure it depends on state law, but the beneficiaries of a will should be notified and given a copy. Okay. Now, whether a potential beneficiary needs to be notified, I don't know. Like if somebody was written out of a will and just not listed in it, I have a sense that you don't need to notify them, but I don't know that to be absolutely true. Now, if you can't find one of the beneficiaries, people actually hire private investigators to find them. If ultimately you can't find somebody, you probably have to file something with the court, letting the court know, because it just raises too many questions. Like, this person was supposed to get $100,000. We couldn't find them, so I'm keeping the money. People are going to take a look at that and wonder, did you actually look for them? But there are people who do go out, who do hire private investigators to find people that have disappeared that are beneficiaries, just so they can find them and notify them. Yeah, they're homeless and on drugs. Okay, you have to try to find them, probably. And if you can't, you have to go. They were written out, but I was told I still have to give a copy to them. Who told you that? A lawyer? What state are you in? It's possible. If they're like a direct blood relative, a direct descendant, that might be the law. I'm not sure on that.
And Kelly has a good point. The ad in the paper, sometimes when the court has no other way of notifying someone, they'll approve the notification through an ad in the paper. So that may be the final step. And then after that, the will can be dispersed.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But you really got to know that state law.
Yeah.
Usually the ad in the paper only comes, unless that's written into the rules, you may need a court order to do that, because you're going to go before the judge. You're going to say, Judge, we know that he's homeless. We have no way of contacting him. Like Pat said, we tried a private investigator. If there's enough money involved here, you want to take that step. We had a private investigator. We did internet searches. We checked all his old addresses. There's post office shit you can do. Yeah. Once you've exhausted everything, that's usually when you can do the newspaper ad.
Yeah, and the court might have to approve it. So you'd seek an order seeking notice by publication in the paper. Yeah, there's a process. People do that all the time. That's a good question. A lot of times you don't know the answer off the top of your head, and so just help you think about the issues. What are the possibilities? That sort of thing. Yeah. Now, I had a friend that actually reached out to me. Well, never mind. I don't want to talk about that. Paid my credit card for car alarm, including installation. Went to store for refund. They couldn't get it after contacting over 67 times with 3 hours of calls at a time. Paid my credit card for car alarm. I don't understand the question.
Tried to get a refund. They wouldn't give you a refund after contacting over 67 times.
For car alarm, including installation.
I think he paid with his credit card, is what he's saying.
They couldn't find the credit card?
Yeah.
Did you show him the credit? Did you have the credit card on hand when you went? and show them this is the card that I used. Sometimes that's what they do.
Anybody want to call in? We'd like some calls. I don't know why will sharks not eat lawyers?
Because we're full of crap. That's why.
Because they don't eat their own kind. I don't know. I love the client that's got a good lawyer joke for me. Did we miss anything here? D, can you file a missing person report? Professional courtesy. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Good one.
Here's one. Best Buy was giving me a runaround. Best Buy, I'll tell you, like, I bought a printer with Best Buy. I bought this. So Best Buy gives like refunds on everything, okay, except certain electronic devices. Even if they give you a receipt, you have like 6 or 7 days to return it. And after that, no returns, and so they have this list of electronic devices. Well, I went past that date and I tried to return it and they wouldn't return it to me. So I sent them an excruciating email and I wrote a letter.
Oh, wow.
And they got back to me and they gave me like 1/3 of the refund.
That's
in
it?
Store credit. They didn't have to give me anything legally.
Oh,
they didn't have to give me anything. They were like, bring it in. They were like, actually, I might have kept it. I kept it.
Oh, did you?
They were like, we don't want it back. They were like, we'll give you a card 1/3.
That's fair.
Yeah, that was fair. I sold it. Then I sold it.
Oh, good.
So I made about 2/3 of the money back.
There you go.
It was like $600. I made like $400.
Good deal. Yeah, they'll screw you any way they can. Joe lucked out. He must have told him he was a lawyer.
I did. I told him I was a lawyer.
I'll sue you.
And I threatened. I did. I was like, I don't want to do a lawsuit, but if I have to, I will.
You know, that goes both ways. Like, I got into a little car accident where I was driving on a road this winter, and suddenly I was just driving normal. Suddenly I spun out. I started, because we're in Pittsburgh, we get snow and ice.
Hold that story. We got a call. Hello. Oh, we lost the caller. Okay, Pat, go ahead.
So I spun out, and I spun into this guy's yard, and I took out.
We're telling the story again. Hi, Joe Pometto Law Show. What's up?
Hey, Joe, sorry, I just got disconnected. This is original Chihuahuan again. I'm calling about that Best Buy one.
All right, let's hear it. What happened?
But yeah, so what actually happened was it was not a car alarm, but it was remote start, but kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah, I have a remote starter.
It included installation. So the thing was, it comes on those daily deals, so you gotta order it. When it comes on those daily deals online, you gotta order it that day.
Okay. And
pay for it. But when they send it in different parts. So technically,
this feels like a law school question.
I lost him already.
No, I got him. Go ahead. They send it in different parts. Okay, go ahead.
Right.
Set this one out.
And then the Best Buy policy is about 14 days and stuff like that. But with this one, they send it. They don't have it in store, so they send it in different parts, in 2 different parts. So they send like the first part, which is useless. So I had to go into the store like 2 weeks later to pick up the first part and just tell them that, okay, don't cancel my order because I'm still here. So then I came back when they sent me the email to pick up the last part. And not actually pick it up, but just to let them know that, okay, I'm here. And then that's when because actually when I first went in on the first 2 weeks, I asked them specifically because I wasn't sure if I was going to keep the same car, so I was asking them what can you do with if I want to sell the car and then put it in another car? Can I keep this deal for like another, I don't know, 5 months, whatever? But they said it's just good for the 30 days, whatever. So I came back on the last day, and then I'm getting a refund. So I gave them I didn't even, they still had the part in their hand. I didn't even take it. So they did the refund. They had all the parts. And,
Oh my.
and then that's when they was having trouble with giving me the refund.
Wait, why wouldn't they give you the refund? Because they said your time limit had passed?
No, it's just
You're welcome, D.
in their system. It was a glitch or something in their system. And I was going back and forth with them. I was going back into the store. I've been going back into the store and then calling online, and I've just been picking around all around the place.
Well, what do you want? Do you want a refund? What do you want? A refund?
I finally got it. Well, they gave me a store credit at the end.
Yeah, that's what they gave me too.
But it was after. So what I was wondering if I was able to sue for in small claims court for all the wasted time and frustration.
I don't think I feel you on that, but I don't know if a judge would give you any money on that ultimately, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think it's probably not a case. Well, how much is the total value of what you're talking about?
I don't have all the calls, but I have some of the 3-hour calls on I recorded it. Like the beginning ones, I didn't record.
3-hour calls.
Yeah, I mean, you might have some kind of claim. You might have some kind of breach of warranty claim or consumer protection fraud claim if they deceived you.
No, they charged my credit card long time ago, right? And then they didn't refund it till like 9 months later.
Yeah.
Well, no, they never ended up. They ended up giving me a gift card.
I'd have to. Did they give you a gift card for more than what they owed you, or the same amount?
No. Well,
or less.
They ended up giving me, yeah. They ended up giving me like extra $50 credit or something like that. But
look,
I mean, the thing was like it was a lot of the frustration was a lot because they would say like, okay, it's done. After
well, look, man. Here's what I would say is, look.
Done. I talked to the next clerk. They said, no, I never heard wait. So it's like every time I have to go over the whole
the whole thing. I've been there.
Over and over. 67 times.
I've been there. Here's the thing. I'm going to let you go, Troy, and I'll leave you with this thought is, I'm a lawyer. Like, I'll sue anybody, really. I mean, if somebody pays me and I got some factual basis, I will sue someone, okay? And you can sue if you're pissed. I can't, man. I can't. Here's the thing. I got to get paid on it, too. I can't. I got to get paid, too. So what I'm telling you is I'll sue anybody for, if somebody wants to pay me hourly. I say this to a lot of my clients where I don't, they don't have much case. I'm like, look, I'll do anything. You pay me hourly. So here's what I'm telling you. If you're pissed off enough about what happened, you could sue them just to give them some hell.
Yeah.
But and you never know what a judge would do. But here's the thing. You're going to have to pay $100, $150, $200 just to take that into small claims court. And you're going to have to spend time. So do you want to do that? That's up to you. But if you're pissed enough, and again, I've been pissed enough.
Yeah.
Like I might have sued Best Buy just to mess with them because they pissed me off, and I'm a lawyer, and I'm like, well, you wasted my time. I'm going to waste your time.
I'm going to get you back.
So you could do that, but is it really worth it? All right, we're going to let you go.
Yes, Taze.
I think in Hawaii, you should move to Hawaii because the I think 25 to file.
Hey, man, Hawaii is expensive, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
the cost of living, right? I'll tell you. Listen, I applied.
I thought it was the most expensive place, but I think San Francisco, the tech part, is more expensive actually.
Well, yeah, Silicon Valley, but you're the most expensive state, probably state as a whole.
Yeah. And
Here's-
you know what? A minimum wage is probably, I think it's like $10 an hour kind of thing, which is ridiculous.
Well, it's better than PA. It's still
If you make
$7.50.
Don't let him
$30
go.
an hour,
It's
if you're
still,
making $30 an hour, you're low income.
it's still, yeah,
Ask
it's
him
still
this.
$7.50. Okay, I'm gonna run, Chawaiian. Thanks for the call.
Sorry,
Thanks,
Taze.
but,
All right, man.
See ya.
Aloha.
Aloha. Hey, he's a good guy. I like Chawaiian. He's got a lot of legal issues. Seems to
I
get into
don't
a lot
buy-
of disputes with people, his employers and Best Buy.
Go easy on the chips. Jeff, what are you, my nutritionist?
If you live in Hawaii, where do you go on vacation? Hey, I have a friend from Hawaii, Taze. Those people get what they call island fever, and they can't wait to get the hell off the island.
I bet.
They hate it because they're stuck there. I was pissed enough at Dell that I took them to small claims without a lawyer and won. Was easy.
There you go.
Then their lawyer wanted to pay me postage on returning my computer. I wasn't having that either. And did somehow you negotiate that with him, that they would pay the postage? That's a good, hey, Kelly, I mean, that's a good example. I mean, you got screwed out of a consumer item. The thing didn't perform right. You know, someone gives you a hard time. It's like people don't realize you pay $600, $800, $1,000, $1,200 for a computer. You expect it to last more than 1 year. And sometimes these things fail. It's pathetic. And, you know, some of these companies, I don't know where they get off thinking that they can rip off a consumer that has a budget. They got kids, they got a car payment, they got mortgage payment, and they're going to sit there and basically steal $1,000 from you for a piece of junk. And of course you want to sue them and you want to win.
See, they play a numbers game.
Yeah.
They're like, if we rip off 1 million people a year, only a small percentage of them are actually going to give a shit about it.
That's right. And most people don't want to go through the process. They don't want the hassle. They're busy. They got kids and stuff.
That's what I was saying to Chawaiian. It's like,
Yeah.
bro.
I get busy too. I don't want to deal with this. I'd rather pay somebody $1,000 to make a problem go away than. That's exactly. Yeah, exactly. So kind of. They're crooks. Joe and I are well, depending on what Joe, if we're on defense or not, we're anti-crook. We're anti-crook. I know I am. I'm a true believer. I want to put those people away.
I buy used computers from a vet in Texas. He gives year warranty, no extra cost.
No, good for him.
I want to email you, but much has happened. Old news. Sarah, did you call in before? I can't remember. Here's my email. You can also contact me on this email. I got a business email. I'm not going to send you that.
Yeah. Hey, we got some good questions, Joe. I don't know how much longer we're going to go. I had before everybody leaves and before this ends, I just wanted to thank Joe for bringing me on. I enjoyed this. It's my first time on the show, first time on YouTube. I don't think I have the TV personality that Joe has, but I actually enjoyed this a lot. So thanks, buddy.
You're welcome, Pat. Thanks for coming on. We'll have you on again. You can forward questions to me, and I'll send them to Pat. And yeah, he'll be on. Maybe we can do. We could. What some YouTubers do is they bring up a certain topic, right? And then we could
Mr. Mustache had a question.
Send the show, send spoilers out on a certain topic, and me and you talk about it.
I think this FCRA thing could be useful for a lot of your viewers. Someone's suing you on a debt, hire a consumer protection lawyer, look at a bankruptcy lawyer, tell them to look at your credit report. You can really do some damage back to these people.
What could have happened? Okay, Mr. Mustache, I had an old supervisor, no longer with company, tells us employees we could not take any unpaid days off per policy. Come to find out, he lied. Many employees quit due to this? What could have happened if this was turned over to corporate headquarters? That would be up to the company itself. So you could turn them over to corporate headquarters. They might do something. They might do nothing. Now, what you're telling me may not actually be a legal violation. I would need to know more about it. Company policies can sometimes turn into this weird quasi-contract type thing, and you can sue a company for not withholding them. But if that policy doesn't fall under the FMLA, which is the Family Medical and Leave Act, or another state law, you probably don't have any legal recourse. So just like bullying, I mean, here's the thing with bullying in the workplace. It's not necessarily illegal, but it's probably bad for business.
Yeah.
It could be the same thing with this policy that they have is, you know, he applied this policy incorrectly. It may not be illegal, but it might not be good for business.
Yeah. FMLA is something I wish I knew more about. You know, I don't even know. I can imagine there's a lot of violations of that. Here's the other thing, though. People might think something's just bullying, and it rises to something more than that because they think
That's true.
It's normal. It depends on the types of jokes that are being made. Is it racist? Is it discriminatory? Are they giving you less pay? Are they playing games with you? They're not giving you time off. They're giving other people time off. Maybe some type of discrimination like that. You have to think about it. There's certain facts that are going to give rise to a claim. That's why you always want to call an employment lawyer like Joe, and he'll do an investigation. He'll ask you the appropriate questions to get to the bottom of it. And if he thinks there's a claim, he'll file a lawsuit.
Absolutely. I'm looking up quantum language parse syntax grammar, which David Wynn Miller constitutes correct sentence structure, communication syntax. People seeking remedy with Miller's syntax in court have not met with success. You know, one thing we learn in law school is logic. You know, I actually took logic as my math requirement, but yeah, this whole correct parse syntax grammar, I don't know much about it, but I'm telling you, the courts ain't gonna have it. Okay, so it is what it is. You know, one thing that I learned in law school was when you're making an argument, you have a major, you have, wait, what is it? Your premise, it's a syllogism, a major premise, a minor premise, and a conclusion.
Yeah. So all geese are black.
Yeah.
You know,
deductive reasoning based on two or more propositions. Exactly.
Yeah.
All men are mortal. Socrates is a man, therefore Socrates is immortal. So you have your major premise, minor premise, and your conclusion.
Yeah.
That will work better than correct parse syntax grammar, capital letters, you know, fake corporations. Can you take on cases in Minnesota? No, Sarah, unfortunately. But if you really think you have a case, you can call in, or you can send me an email. And I've done this for several people on the show. I'll respond to the email.
I had someone reach out to me from California on LinkedIn. You know, I was able to give her a little bit of basic info and the name of a lawyer.
You guys are legit. Thank you, Mr. Mustache. I want to see your mustache in the future.
Yeah.
you need an avatar, and
Hey,
at least.
He's like Brian O'Connor. We don't want to go there.
Held for review, hidden by Taze. Oh, I hope it's. I didn't want to use. I had the same thing, Joe. I took a couple days off, got a full check because company put the 2 days as vacation days. I didn't want to use vacation time. Yeah, what happens is companies have policies, but they don't. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, if they don't follow that policy, they're not necessarily breaking the law unless it falls under FMLA. What is the best lawyer movie? Well, Pat, you want to take, what's your favorite lawyer movie?
You know, I'm one of these guys that doesn't watch the lawyer shows or lawyer. I like the Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino
That's good.
and Keanu Reeves. And it's been a while since I've seen it, but I'm pretty sure that Keanu Reeves is a lawyer, and Al Pacino, I think he's a lawyer too in that. It's been a while, but I was thinking about that. I actually want to watch that again. And yeah, amazing movie. I watched the one called The Judge with Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall and Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good as a little, and that was decent too to understand sort of how I didn't think the story really made sense, but it was an interesting analysis of, you know, the judge and the young lawyer and the family and all that stuff too.
Sarah, send me an email.
Can you think of a lawyer movie, Joe?
Yeah, Taze. So you got it. Okay, so I mostly do criminal defense and personal injury. And I'll be on it, like different lawyers will have different preferences for lawyer movies, sometimes based on their own practice and experiences. I never saw The Rainmaker. I love Al Pacino. I love what's the one you talked? Devil's Advocate as well. I do love And Justice for All. And here's the thing about And Justice for All is it's actually, it's a little crazy with the judge pulling out the gun and shooting the ceiling. I'm sure that happened back in the day.
Yeah.
So you should see some of these judges now. I could just tell stories. That's fine. Do good. I hear you. Go check out Marv. Thanks for jumping in. I love And Justice for All. It's actually very realistic when it comes to what criminal defense attorneys go through.
Yeah.
That's what Al Pacino is. I think he may even be a public defender, but the life of a public defender or a criminal defense attorney is chaos.
Yeah.
You're fighting battle after battle every day in court, and there's incredible highs and incredible lows. And I think And Justice for All captures that. Yeah. So I'll say that. Now, I also like The Verdict. It has what the hell's his name? Who I love his movies.
I never even saw that.
You should watch it, Pat. You would like it. The Verdict with
Mr. Paul Newman.
Paul Newman. Okay.
Oh wow.
Watch the Verdict. The Verdict starts out slow. It's a slow movie, but it's extremely well written. It's got a great ending. It's about this plaintiff's attorney who's an alcoholic. He's down on his luck. His practice is almost over, and then a client walks into his office and his whole life changes. And so for me, And Justice for All is like the typical criminal defense attorney movie. The Verdict is great for if you want to see what plaintiffs' attorneys go through. If you're bringing lawsuits, ambulance chasers, blah, blah, blah. I hear it all the time. I laugh at it. It's funny. But really, you're helping people get justice when they may have died or been permanently disabled. So The Verdict tackles that in a really good way. My favorite, though, is My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, oh yeah.
My Cousin Vinny is, and I'm telling you, every lawyer loves My Cousin Vinny. Yeah, they do. Because all we really want to do is get up there during court and say everything that guy just said is bullshit. Yeah. I'd love to say that.
Yeah, you do, and people lie their asses off and want to call them out on it. Yeah. Hey, Joanne had a good question. Divorcing my lawyer, and I dealt with this similar issue to this, Joe. I want to answer her question.
Go
Divorcing
ahead.
My lawyer, not investigating husband severance fund. How can prove he has it? Well, Joanne, in any litigation, including family law, there's discovery. Okay, and you send them interrogatories and requests for production of documents, and you do depositions, and you get them to answer. And you ask them, what funds do you have and where? What retirement accounts do you have? What bank accounts do you have? What type of pension do you have? What, Social Security, all these sorts of things. Okay. They answer the question in the written discovery. You take the document to your lawyer. You go, I know he's lying. I know he's lying because I've seen the documents. I know he has an account. I know he got money from his employer. Okay. Then you take him into deposition and you question him about it under oath. Okay. When you really find out he's lying and they're still not giving you any documents, then you ask for sanction. You go to the judge, you ask for sanctions. You say, look, we know that he has these funds. He's hidden them or he's not disclosing them. Okay. And ultimately, if you fail there, you go to trial and you testify to it. It's going to raise such a question if you're credible that the judge is going to say, look, where's these other funds? Where's this other money? Now, if your lawyer's a loser,
that's what it sounds like.
If your lawyer's a loser and he won't go and do what's necessary to get to the bottom of the financial situation of your husband, then you talk to another lawyer. And you say, we know he has these funds. My lawyer's lazy. He's not looking. Be polite. But I think there are lawyers who just won't do it.
Oh, absolutely.
And be polite about it. And you hire another lawyer. You say, look, you're not diligently prosecuting my case. You're costing me money. You can't do that. So put a little bit of pressure on them. But I hope that it somewhat answers your question for you.
Absolutely. You could all Eric, yeah, he popped in and popped out.
Hey, Eric.
To Kill a Mockingbird. I agree. To Kill a Mockingbird that's the atypical, and for criminal defense attorneys, because he's representing a black man in the antebellum South who's accused of a crime and he's completely innocent. It's like this perfect storm. I mean, yeah, Atticus Finch, he's like a lot of lawyers, that's their idol, fictional idol.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it. There's another lawyer movie I like called The 12 Men, I think. It's a very old movie with Humphrey Bogart, and he's basically the leading guy in a jury.
12 Angry Men.
Yeah, 12 Angry Men, and it's about a murder, and they're trying to figure out whether this kid could have murdered.
Won his own EEO case after getting fired. Yeah, man. I mean, look, the right people.
Yeah, 12 Angry Men, Kelly.
Pro se client. I mean, you can win your case on your own. You don't always need your lawyer.
Okay, thanks. This one, third one, first one retired. Brother, thanks again.
Just saw 12 Angry Men today. Wow.
Oh, cool, Clint.
In the heat of the night.
Can't remember that one.
Sorry, Eric. You missed me.
Henry Fonda. Yeah, I'm sorry. Henry Fonda, not Humphrey Bogart. That's right, Taze.
Didn't have nothing. Good job. There's more than one. I thought, did we miss a question? What is up with group of Congress members veil 3-2 Supreme Court on Second Amendment? Think cousin Vinny funny. I can't understand that.
What
Clint.
is up with group of Congress members veil 3-2 Supreme Court? Don't understand the question. I was reading. Speak about the Supreme Court there just briefly. I was reading today that there's Congress people that want to expand the court to more than 9 members.
Maybe that's what he's asking about.
I think it is. And
I heard that.
And some of the Supreme Court members came out and said, why, we're not going to expand the court. Somebody said that the Supreme Court justice should be rotated. It's all because they're not happy with the decisions. And they're probably because it's going to be a conservative court for a while. So there's a political thing. I remember FDR came up with an idea, I think, to expand the court to 15 members or something like that, packing the court.
Yeah.
The reality is that the way it works now is it's, the
bingo, you got it, Pat.
They're approved by the Senate. The Senate's a political body elected by the people. There's not much you can do. It's just the way it is. It's just the politics of it.
And when FDR was doing it, was threatening it, and he didn't do it, but he probably was going to do it, the country was in a depression and on the brink of a global war. Yeah. So wanting, like, we're not in that situation right now. So wanting to change the makeup of the Supreme Court, like Pat said, just because you're not happy with the decisions, I'm sorry. It's different when you're dealing with existential threat to the country, which So I think FDR had more credibility when he was bringing that idea up than these Congress members today. On top of that, sorry, Pat, on top of that, win elections.
Yeah, win elections.
That's how you change the makeup of the Supreme Court. If your party has a better message, you'll win elections.
Yeah.
You know,
and you know what happens when you can win elections and you win enough elections? You can amend the Constitution and override the Supreme Court.
Well, yeah.
You can pass laws.
You could.
To override the Supreme Court. It's easy. It happens all the time. Judge-made law can be abrogated unless it's, you know, the law. There's certain factors that go into it.
Absolutely.
Win an election. Don't come up with stupid policies that alienate 70% of the country.
I mean, it's kind of funny too because you know, and my opinion, we have myopic, you know, it's like, oh, the court's conservative. Well, for the longest time, you know, the court was liberal. Yeah. And you got decisions like Roe v. Wade in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. It was this liberal dominated court. And now it's true that the court has been, you know, conservative dominated. But in the vast sweep of history, this is just a blink in time. So, you know, people are upset with what's going on now. Just, you know, you got to take a longer view.
Yeah, you do.
1A auditors always say Supreme Court ruled you can't trespass the eyes. Is that true? Well, no, well, I don't know about trespass, Taze. I'll tell you this though. Pat, you're watching us live. I'll tell you this though. You do have privacy expectations, so you can't just videotape whatever the hell you want. There's privacy expectations. That's videotaping right. Someone in their house, this and that. You can be sued over that. Yeah. So
stalking, and it's criminal too. I mean, harassment, stalking, invasion of privacy, civilly. You know,
in public, you can video you can mostly video what you want out in public. Yeah, you really can't.
Yeah. And, you know, there's issues about, there's so many Fourth Amendment issues, search and seizure and videotaping and all this stuff.
Yeah, there's tons.
Doing heat sensors to find grow houses and, you know.
One more justice, court will be conservative for next 40 years. Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll say is that Trump got aggressive by appointing young justices.
Yeah.
That hasn't always been the case, but that seems to be the trend. Even Obama's justices were pretty young. So it's just become more political. It's true that the court has become more political in recent decades. I would agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You know, at the same token, some of the judges are too old. Like I was just reading today that a federal judge overseeing one of the Jeffrey Epstein civil cases was 96 years old.
96?
Yeah, 96. And he was on vacation in Wyoming and he dropped dead. And now they're saying Hillary Clinton might have had something to do with it. But the fact is he was 96 and maybe at some point some of these judges should retire and get some younger people in there.
Well, they wanted to pass the age limit in Pennsylvania or in Allegheny County. Remember that, Pat?
No, what ended up happening?
I don't know. I don't think they passed it because they end up wording it real weird so that it wouldn't pass.
Yeah.
Peeping Tom lies still apply. Yeah, I mean, you can't just record and video anybody and then just use that shit or put it on the internet. You can be sued 100 different ways. RBG, I hope she doesn't retire. It's hard enough to get birth control. Oh, come on. 96 isn't that old.
Yeah. I hope I live to 96. I'll be fathering my 40th kid when I'm 96.
Didn't your grandpa have 26 kids?
No, my great uncle.
Okay. Darth Vader Ginsburg was here for the Civil War. Yeah, she's old, man. She is old. The entire system can be nullified through the fraudulent conveyance of language, which we are subject to currently. That's why correct grammar is so important.
Fertile guy.
Dang, Pat is a fertile. His family's got it. His family's got it.
We have a lot of kids.
One more. What else? 2A advocates want to protect a monster's right to take your life. Is there term limits on rape?
I'm sure there is. 10 years, maybe.
No, look, they sued Cosby.
Yeah.
Some crimes in recent, I know for a fact in recent years, so these child crimes used to have term limits, and most states have gotten rid of them.
Yes.
In homicide, you can bring forever. Rape is a good, let me look it up, White Dove.
Yeah.
It depends on this. First, let me tell you this, first of all, it depends on the state. Criminal law is very specific to the state. For example, that employment stuff I was talking about, the federal law is passed first, and then the states copied. Criminal law has always been the realm of the state.
Yeah.
It used to be very common law, not the fake common law of the sovereign citizens, but it used to be real, very common law reliant. It still is, even though it's been put into statute. But wait, what was I looking up? Statute of
I don't know,
limitation.
Kelly. I mean, a lot of these kids, they were young. They didn't know what to do. There's priests. There's the Boy Scouts is real big now. You know, Jeffrey Epstein just died. He had victims that were 14, 15 years old. Now, you know, under most circumstances, those victims can go after the church and Epstein and these folks. They're 20 years later. And, you know, they were victims. They did suffer, Kelly. They should be able to get some recompense for the damage that these people did to them. And somebody brought up the movie The Rainmaker. I think that was about some type of chemical that was causing people cancer. You know, just talking for a second. Maybe you guys have heard about Roundup, glyphosate causing cancer, lymphoma. I think one guy got a $2 billion verdict. It was a husband and wife. They both got cancer. So some of the movies like The Rainmaker, those are accurate. Go ahead, Joe.
You can keep going. 2-year statute of limitation on rape. And that's true of most charges. You're talking 2 years on most criminal charges. So if a crime has happened to you, now again with Cosby, how did they do that, Pat?
The rape or the
they brought him up on criminal charges.
I don't know.
There's all kinds of weird. I think they just changed the law in Pennsylvania.
I think they did, and I think they said it was retroactive.
Yeah,
I think because you can make a law retroactive to apply to stuff that happened in the past. Sometimes it's unconstitutional, but if you just extend the statute of limitations, maybe that's not unconstitutional. I don't know.
If under 18, the person has until they're 30, and that's probably how it is in most states.
If under 18, yeah. There's all kinds of rules. Time, the law, a lot of stuff in the law depends on time. Age of majority. You know, if you get ripped off before you're 18, they'll hold the statute of limitations until you're 18. Sometimes things like that. You know, it's law school stuff. It doesn't always come into play with, you know, real life practice.
Bottom line is, if something's happened to you or someone you know, you want to report as soon as possible, because not only statute of limitations, but evidence itself can become stale over time. So a district attorney or a prosecutor may be less likely to pursue a case if it's been a year, if it's been a year and a half, if they're close to the statute of limitations, if items have been lost. I mean, all that stuff, the Commonwealth, the state, the prosecutors have to have the evidence, and evidence is always going to be gathered, you know, early on the best.
Yeah.
If a victim claims, I think statute of limitation. Yeah, it doesn't start. Yeah, I honestly don't know. I'd have to research that a little bit. It looks like there's 2 years though, and but I just saw this rule that said they have until they're 30. I'm not sure what that means. Yeah. You two don't know everything. Yes, we do. Yeah, I know everything.
Look, that's the philosophy question. What do you know? How do you know it?
I know everything.
You know, yeah.
Thanks, guys. I know a lot. I know a guy that got convicted of rape, 13 years. Yeah, like the Cosby stuff they brought way later. There's all kinds of weird shit.
Yeah, there's weird laws being passed. That's why people hate the plaintiffs' bar, because they get the legislators to change the laws so they can sue more people.
Well, and I'll tell you this though, bodily injury, like plaintiff stuff, that's basically 2 years. Now contracts have 5 years. There's some 5-year stuff, but if you want to sue in civil court, you better move immediately. You better move.
Yeah. People got to remember that like lawsuits can take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to even complete. So if you wait until the statute of limitations, which is 2, 5 years, you're looking at like 7 years after the event even took place. It's crazy. I didn't know that, Miam.
Well, you're right, Taylor. Some people don't understand how hard it is to get someone to listen to victims of sex assault. I've seen district attorneys, if they don't have if the evidence is only he said, she said, they oftentimes won't pursue the case. It's one person's story against another. They don't feel it's worth their time because they feel they're going to lose in reasonable doubt. So you're right. It is difficult. And I'm not trying, and I have sympathy for all victims. But I think it's important to let victims know, and I know it's crazy, but you want to act right away. You really do. Yeah, you do. Because it's hard you're right. It's hard for them to listen to a victim at any time. But the further away it is, the less likely they're going to listen to a victim.
Yeah.
If you report right away, it lends you credibility.
And you have to investigate right away. You have to do the rape test.
Yeah.
You have to go to the scene of the crime. You want to do an interview. Don't let them get away with it. You got to act fast.
God knows what happened. Check your state, because that again, that's the thing. Criminal law is very what's the word I'm looking for? Not ubiquitous. It's just very specific to each state.
No.
So,
anomalous.
No.
No.
Not ubiquitous. It's a word like that though.
I didn't have a Red Bull today. I'm not really thinking. I'm not really thinking.
I got a 4-pack of Red Bull for my birthday. It's sitting in there. Go have one.
I need some Adderall to get my brain going. Do any of you guys have Adderall for me?
Staggering number of rape kits. Not probably been on it. It's been years. I know how to get them after years. Get a good lawyer to advocate for you in your state.
Yeah,
they went back and started testing old rape kits with newer technology.
Did you know that, Joe?
I've heard stories about them doing that in certain states.
Yeah.
Red Bull and soda have lots of sugar.
Yeah, they do. Lots of caffeine, too.
Everybody on here gives me shit for drinking Diet Coke.
Yeah. Dude, good minds. They're obsessed with grammar. The grammar issue.
Bro, come on.
Grammar isn't real. Grammar is a social construct. Don't worry about the grammar.
Okay, I think we're getting towards the end here. Carbs can cloud the mind. You're right. You are absolutely right. Any last minute questions?
We got more viewers now than we did at the beginning.
It builds up, man.
Yeah, it builds up.
Yeah.
They like us. You guys are a big fan of Joe, I think. I mean, I think that's where it's almost like it's becoming a big family. And it's Joe's family of legal minds, brilliant legal minds.
Here for the law. Thanks, got to cook dinner. You're welcome. You're welcome, Clint. We're here to help. I'd love to talk politics, but then YouTube will totally kick me off.
Thanks, guys.
Not the grammar Nazi type of grammar. We're so conditioned with the words, we don't even know what they mean.
That's true.
Well, we don't even need words, do we? Have a good night. What your beer you're drinking? I knew a guy charged with having sex with a minor many years. He was convicted and sitting in San Quentin when a judge freed him because it was so old. Crazy shit can happen, man. That's all I'm saying. We are drinking. This is called Iron City Light Beer. Pittsburgh is known as the Steel City. They did make iron here. Right,
yeah,
first.
they did. Pig iron.
They made iron before they made steel. This beer's been around just as long. Now there is a full flavored Iron City, which tastes like iron. We call it Iron Shitty. I don't mind the icy light, but I thought it'd be a nice Pittsburgh beer. You know, you guys, if you're driving through, come to Pittsburgh. It's a pretty freaking it's a pretty cool city. Attorney at my work playing ambient noise on her cell phone, and it's so annoying.
Sewer.
What are you doing on here at work? Me, my roommate does meditations.
That's
Pat,
awesome.
thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
man.
He's going to be back on.
Be back.
Any questions about civil type stuff, real estate, consumer protections, bankruptcy, debt, that type of stuff, send it my way. You know, I'll be happy to. Yay from the UK.
Yeah, we got international.
All right, Cal Mitt. That's the birthplace of the common law. You're the birthplace of the common law. No Napoleonic code over there.
That's the queen right there. She's in to see how her royal subjects are doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, according to the sovereign citizens, we pledge loyalty to the queen. I get it. We're still part of the crown, going back to the days of the Revolutionary War. But hey,
that's right.
What are you going to do?
That's why we're in cahoots with the judges, and sovereign citizens are like, you know, they can't do
The bar, yes.
They can't do
Remembers the
jack.
bar. Remembers the bar. I would like to do a skit, Pat. Let's do a skit where we dress up as like, I don't know. I'll put the wig on like a founding father, and you can come and put your hand on the Bible, and then the Quran, and we'll do like 10 different holy books.
Yeah. It's like the Masons. We're going to show you our secret ceremony where we pledge allegiance to the Queen of England. And every lawyer does it. It's never been shown publicly, and it's coming in the next few weeks.
For real, the only secret ceremony I went through was studying by myself for 1,000 hours prior to taking the bar exam.
Yeah, I did it. I did it too, and we did that ceremony alone for the most part.
But in Britain, Cal Mitt, you guys have barristers and solicitors.
Yeah.
And I believe a barrister is like a trial attorney.
Yeah. And
a solicitor is like a
real estate person. Something like
they
that.
do transactional stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah.
There was a show before we go. There was a show. It was an Australian lawyer show, and the dude was a barrister. Let me recommend it. Rake. It's called Rake. It's like this dude. He was a criminal defense attorney like me, and like he slept with like 1,000 women, and you know, they would have little court scenes. But I guess in Britain, or at least in Australia, the lawyers wear the wigs in court.
They still do?
Do they in Britain?
Yeah, I think they do, yeah.
Cal, are you still there?
They have bobbies. They barely speak.
Yeah, they wear the wigs.
Yeah, I still wear them.
That's Chips. Hanover, PA. Thank you, Judy.
That's right.
Thank you. They wear, so I watched that. Philly situation is over. You know, we had a situation like that in Pittsburgh about 8 or 9 years ago. Poplovsky, 3 officers were killed.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Remember that?
I do remember.
Yeah, very sad. We had a similar situation here in Pittsburgh. Basically, the dude just ambushed the police. They came to his house, and he opened up on them.
Yeah.
I think he had a shotgun. He had like
a rifle.
Yeah, really sad. So I hope everyone in Philly is okay. I'm glad I'm not in the UK and I have to wear a wig, I have to say. I mean, it makes me laugh. It makes me but it's kind of neat too.
It is. It is. They powder their faces too. They wear makeup and stuff. Yeah. See, we go on this show, we don't have makeup on. You know, if we were in the UK, we were lawyers in the UK, we'd have a wig on, we'd have makeup on.
I think
we'd have a robe.
I think for the next show, we're going to get the wigs.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think we should.
we'll be barristers and solicitors. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kelly.
See you guys. See
Signing
you some
off.
other time. Thanks, Clint.
You got one, Clint.
Yeah.
Send me that wig. Where do you buy those wigs? Amazon, eBay.